Okay, so let's get started. So today's plan is I will talk a little bit about the anonymous survey that some of you, I think none of you, filled out. So thank you for filling that out. Yeah, I will talk about some of the general comments that I got and also the plan for any changes we're gonna make for the rest of the semester. So we'll spend about 10 minutes on that. And then for the, I think for the lecture on hierarchical modeling, we have a little bit left. So I will spend some time talking about that. And the rest of the time will be used as Q&A because I think many of you are still working on homework 4. Some of the questions could be challenging and all that. So let's spend, yeah, I will just walk around answering questions. And of course, other work. I think we posted lab 4, which is on hierarchical modeling as well. If you want to ask questions about that, that's fine as well. So today, hopefully, will be a lighter loads to help people catching up with any of the work that you need to do. Okay. All right. So I'll post this set of slides later to Moodle, but I want to say that. So we got 32 students in total floating here, and we have 7 at 12 more, and then let me make sure whoever needs to be muted is muted. Sorry about that. You can unmute yourself if you need to speak up. Okay. And then we got 5 from Washington Lee. So overall, I think well, I can say I guess majority, a little bit barely over the majority thinks it's just about right of the pace. I think a good number of you think it's too fast, but there's also people who think it's too slow. But overall, I think well, I think we probably need to slow down a little bit given the feedback and all that. So this is the breakdown of the 17 responses that we got. All right, and the learning modes, I asked you to check all that apply. So I think overall homework is probably where you find overall the most beneficial part of doing the exercises. And then comes next, I think, is the lecture, studying for exam and doing labs. So overall seem helpful as well. Reading a textbook and talking with classmates comes last. So this is out of 17, and you can see the overall response. I also want to show you, because we asked about the average, I guess, the average of each of you, and then we take the average of all of that. For the homework, it seems to be 4.5 hours per week that on average you all spend doing homework per week. So that's quite long, I have to admit. And also for the R and labs, I guess, mostly labs, that will be close to 3 hours. And then people don't spend too much time reading the textbook. It's about 1.5 hours on average. Okay, so that's just a general picture. So there are 3 different aspects I want to talk about because I was trying to read those. So it's kind of long, but I will try to read them, and then you can also check them out afterwards. So a lot of assignments happening close together. So it will be helpful if the number or the length of the homework or the, I guess, the participation as well as the labs will be a little bit reduced. Also generally spacing out the deadlines, and I guess also if one of the 2 things were due Friday and the other one on Wednesday, or even better, only one thing due in each week, in a week. Okay, so that's another overall, I think, comment. And you can see that, yeah, some of them are related, and one or very similar one is also saying that make homework group homeworks. So I should say that homework 4 is the last homework that we're gonna do as individual work. What's left is all group work for the remaining of the semester. Actually, it was designed this way, not because of what I saw in this feedback, but it was designed in this way. So just so you know, homework 4 is the last individual work, unless you're doing the project by yourself. Otherwise, everything from now on is group work. And yeah, anyway, so that's the workload comments, and I think some kind of feedback. So I just want to show you, including this week, that we have 5 weeks left in this course. Okay, so the remaining work, I think roughly going to be 1 per week. We're going to have homework 4 due this week, okay, and then lab 4 will be due next week, and then lab 5 will be we'll see. But we have lab 4, lab 5, case study 1, and case study 2. All of these are group work, and I think in terms of counting and the number, we're just going to have roughly 1 per week for the rest of the semester for all of the assessment in that way. But of course, we have the midterm too, which also will have the take home as well as the in-class portion. And then lastly, the course project, which I know I'm still reading through the proposals, but I should get them done soon, like sometime tomorrow. So you should be able to start working on the rest of it But in terms of the timeline, we do have a draft for the methodology and the overall draft. And then finally, the last day of class is the poster session to present the work. Okay, so it is still not little work. I think overall it is still a lot in some sense. I agree. So I think let's try to at least make the homework or the lab or case studies due only one per week. And then the rest, I think, will have to be squeezed in accordingly. Okay. So that's just want to show you the plan and what's left for this course. And again, it's a 300 level statistics course. And I think this is my 4th or 5th time teaching it at Vassar. So, I mean, again, every semester could be a little bit different. People might be very busy this particular semester and also COVID and all that. So, yeah, I have to say the last time I taught was 2019 in the fall. So that was before the pandemic. Okay, so all I can say is the workload over for this course, at least before the pandemic, I think was doable for most of the people, given my experience so far. But it could be that I think for this particular semester and also just the pandemic and everything, things a little bit more overwhelming. So I'm trying to work through for the rest of the semester to make it a little bit more manageable. Okay, so that's that. And then there are a bunch of comments about the content. So I'm gonna read through some of this. The material in class outside the class seems disjoint, with a lot of lectures being spent on derivations, while the homework is more application-based. There has been more emphasis on strict derivations than I anticipated. I think that focusing more on applications and implementation of concepts will be better, rather than the raw algebra of derivations. But of course, I always like more theory-heavy classes. So I prefer faster pace with more theory and less implementation. Also asking for more real-world-based examples. And also for the homework itself, feels like the first time seeing application questions for the material. If we could do more problems in class similar to the homework would be a little bit more not so daunting. So I would say that for what we're doing right now for Bayesian hierarchical modeling, which we will get done pretty much like today, and then the last big lecture on regression, as you can see in the hierarchical modeling lecture, we're already started to do more application-based with real-world examples in the sense that we don't focus much on the derivation anymore, right? As you can see, I guess, for this week and the past weeks. So that's the plan as well. And I should also say that if you remember at the very beginning of the semester, we mentioned that there are 3 big components of the course: the theory, the computation, and then the application. So in some sense, I have to say theory kind of has to come first, so you know why we're doing this and why things work. And then we introduce computing, and then finally a little bit more focused on the application. So I think for the rest of semester, you won't see us deriving anymore. It's just like how the course is designed in this way. But the derivation was necessary, I think, for us to know why things work. And then later on, as you can see, we're relying on JAGs instead of writing our own code to implement all of the methods. So this is a natural progression, but I guess this could make the first half a little bit too complicated, too challenging to follow. So we'll see how the rest is gonna go. But I think, like I said, we'll mostly do applications instead of derivations. And then the computation part is already built in based on what we have learned. So the rest of it, I think, will flow more like an application-based course instead of a theory-based course. There are other things I think about coding, which I think this is really useful. And overall, I think people would like to see more code examples in class and talking about line by line instead of just showing, the chunk and then talk about this is what you can do. And most recently, I guess, because some of you came to office hours and also email questions about lab 3. So I realized, well, yes, we have examples either in the book or in class, but how to make the connection, how to make it work to the particular example or exercise that you need to do. I think there is to some of you, I think there is a gap over there. So again, I think there are things people like more, like less and all that. So overall, based on this content or the comments, I feel like students definitely come in with different programming preparation. And we will do more, which is mostly JAGs, as you can see, coding example in class, and then try to spend time line by line describing why things work in the way that they are. And once again, I think we all need to practice to become better programmer in many ways. And I think labs are definitely a good place to make sure that you can practice and enhance your skills. And of course, ask questions early. Like I know it is due today, but it only occurred to me yesterday that some of you are having that questions about lab 3, and then it was a big hurdle for some of you to, make through that part. So, well, I think I tried to give the exam or the homework early enough, but of course, if you can ask questions earlier, I think I'll be able to catch any remaining concerns as soon as I can and address to the class instead of, the day before the due date and all that. But anyway, I think we all need to contribute and make it better. The last part I think is, let's see, I think there was one comment about the exam, I think, saying that it was difficult to see a 3-parameter model after only dealing with 2-parameter models. So we should have more practice so we can retain more. Also, there are comments about the length, but then it will be difficult to find time to meet with people, especially having trouble contacting group members. And lastly, if the tentative schedule that when I do the assigned sections to read, maybe instead of just saying that the whole chapter is about this, maybe I can give more detailed section number for what we're going to talk about for a given day so you can prepare. So I take all of this. So first of all, exam questions, they all have different difficulty levels. So the 3-parameter model question is 7 points out of the 30. And again, I think the other two mostly, the other 3 questions overall are very accessible to what we have covered in class. So that's the reason why I threw in a 3-parameter model, just to make sure that people will be able to try to do some challenging questions. And for the last lecture, which is on regression, I will announce the assigned textbook sections beforehand. So, well, it's the last big lecture itself, so I think that's the only one that I can do, but I think this is a really good feedback for me as well. And lastly, any remaining group work, which is labs and case studies, I'll release it 2 weeks in advance before the due date, so you can have the time to communicate with your team members and all that to make sure that you have enough time for communication and teamwork. Okay. So I will post this, the link to Moodle, so you can read this more in detail if you want, and let me know if you have any questions or comments. Okay, but I do want to address this because we did this survey and I think we got very useful feedback and all that, and I hope that the rest of the semester will be a little bit smoother in many ways, and also making sure that you have learned sufficient material out of this course. Okay. All right, so I will post that afterwards. So let me stop share over here and also use this.